How did we get here? It's no secret that Hollywood has been slowly abandoning animation in favour of live-action films this past decade. Not only this, but adaptations of existing IPs have proven to be popular. Obviously there's no shortage of comic book superhero movies, but we have been getting plenty of video game adaptations too, such as Sonic, Mario, Uncharted, and Five Nights at Freddy's. Hence, it's actually quite a shock that a Minecraft movie didn't come out sooner. After all, it's the best-selling video game of all time, with a gigantic fanbase. While the film has been in development since 2014, it finally dropped in theaters 2 weeks ago. Keep in mind that I've written a script before having seen it, so let's hope I'm proven wrong after watching.
Alright, what do we think, boys?
It was one of the movies of all time.
It was definitely a movie, and Jennifer Coolidge is heavily pregnant with a villager child at the end. I wish I was joking.
After one night, by the way.
Yeah.
So that was...
It was definitely a movie.
Regardless, I'm here to talk about one aspect from the trailers that didn't sit right with me or anyone else. The fact that it's live action. It's a trend that's been continuing for years now, but traditional 2D and even 3D animation is being sidelined for human actors surrounded by green screens and CGI. You don't need to be an avid cinema goer to notice the sheer number of Disney remakes that have come out in the last decade, with How to Train Your Dragon and Lilo and Stitch soon to follow. Animation was once a beloved medium by many. So what happened? Why are studio executives insisting on live action, and how come the Minecraft movie followed suit? Let's take a look at some historic trends to find out, and how you can do your part in revitalizing animated cinema. Before we get into the Minecraft movie specifically, let's take a look at the industry as a whole. To the surprise of absolutely no one, everything has to do with money. Live-action films have made a lot more profits for studios than animated movies. However, this shouldn't be the case when you first think about it. After all, many of them cast A-list celebrities, use lots of extremely expensive VFX, and end up looking worse than their animated counterparts. One example is Mufasa, a film that cost $200 million to make and feels soulless when compared to the original Lion King movie it's based on.
What did you say about my brother?
Yes, the photorealistic CGI is impressive from a technological standpoint, but it cannot compete visually with the colourful and expressive drawings done by hand. Regardless, it doesn't matter to Disney because the film ended up grossing more than $700 million and ended its theatrical run with a higher box office total than Sonic 3, a much better film that was released in the same weekend. This isn't to say that animated films can't do well. However, there are a few things we need to consider. Not all styles are created equal, with computer animation being the most profitable by far. In fact, it's not even close, as 49 of the 50 highest grossing animated movies of all time are 3D. For those wondering, the 1994 Lion King is the only 2D film on the list. Still, it made less money than a live-action remake. Ugh. Being part of a franchise also tends to boost revenue, but this doesn't even guarantee that the film will make a profit. Transformers 1 bombed at the box office, despite being both part of an existing IP and computer animated. The live-action Michael Bay films, however, massive successes, with two of them making over $1 billion each. Okay, so studios do whatever they think makes them the most money. Revolutionary observation, I know. This brings up another question, however. Why are live-action films more profitable? After all, most people can agree that they're much worse quality than their animated counterparts, especially those that are remakes. It didn't stop the live-action Aladdin and Little Mermaid movies from making more money than the originals, however. So, what's going on? There's a multitude of factors, however, all can be traced back to one central reason: marketability. While traditional animation was impressive back in the day, and computer animation took the world by storm in the early 2000s, times have changed. Unfortunately, general audiences aren't impressed by 2D and 3D animations anymore. Of course, advancements are still being made in these fields. Into and Across the Spider-Verse were successful. However, this was due to positive word of mouth, an extremely unique animation style, and Spider-Man's huge popularity. Even with so much going for these films though, both made less money than an unpopular live-action sequel to a live-action remake. Yes, Mufasa outgrossed Across the Spider-Verse. I wish I was making this up. The reality is that your average moviegoer has completely different preferences to your average cinephile. A generation ago, computer animation was unlike anything ever seen before. People were not really watching Toy Story for the plot, but because it was so visually different to any other film out there. 30 years later, however, that's no longer the case. Also, yes, I almost had a heart attack too when finding out that Toy Story is 30 years old. Computer animation has been done so many times that people aren't impressed by it anymore. Instead, audiences are appealed by live-action VFX and CGI. Combine this with some nostalgia for popular IPs, and suddenly it's not surprising why so many people would pay to go see Maleficent. I do have to mention briefly that the MCU is partially to blame for this trend. Due to their success, so much of Gen Z is conditioned to want live-action films that resemble what they grew up on. Unlike animations, the faces of big A-list actors are also on full display throughout the movie. Marketing is therefore much easier, as the combination of cool special effects, attractive celebrities, and familiarity with an existing franchise is more than enough to convince people to watch a live-action remake. Also, before I get a bunch of comments about this, let's quickly talk about budgets. Whether animated movies are cheaper than live-action ones depends on so many different factors. It would be easy for me to say that one type of medium is less expensive, but it varies so much from film to film. While researching, I found the budgets for both animated and live-action Disney movies to vary anywhere from $75 million to $260 million in the last 30 years. This is why I've mainly been discussing the final box office totals, as this is what drives studios to do what they do. It's not the case at all that live-action is cheaper to make. In fact, it's often more expensive. Just that these films are easier to market than animated ones, and hence drive more customers to theaters. This isn't the end of the story, however. While we now know how the industry got to this state, it doesn't actually explain what on earth happened with the Minecraft movie. Sonic went down the live-action route when it was adapted, and despite the initial hiccup with the character's design, the films are loved by fans. That being said, I still think it was a mistake to avoid computer animation. Speaking of, what's your favourite animated film? Personally, I'm a big fan of Howl's Moving Castle and Ghibli films in general, but let me know yours down in the comments below. Please be sure to leave me a like while you're there too. Jared Hess, the director of a Minecraft movie, clarified in a livestream why the team decided to do live action.
Creators have made such amazing stories in the animation space, and it was like, oh, this is the chance for us doing a film to do something different.
Unfortunately, I don't buy this as the only reason. Logically, it makes sense to break away from the norm and try and give audiences something fresh. At the end of the day, the Minecraft movie has to differentiate itself from existing animations on YouTube. Otherwise, there's no point in seeing the film. However, I have a hunch that Warner Bros. Were insistent on making the movie live action for maximum marketability. Jared Hess was not originally at the helm. In fact, the project had been in development since 2014 and changed directors 3 times. This to me reeks of studio interference and micromanaging, which is completely on brand for Warner Bros. If you know anything about the company's recent history. This is what led to the questionable visuals we got in the trailer. Reactions to this online were not good, and even after watching the movie, I can say it looked awful. While live action has worked for Disney in the last decade, there's a reason why Minecraft can almost never look good unless animated: believability. Take the Sonic films. While these are also live action, there's one key difference. Rather than having human actors in a CGI world, they have CGI creatures in a human world. Suspension of disbelief is an extremely important concept when it comes to storytelling. We can buy into an animated Sonic in live action as it heightens reality a little bit. When you try to do the opposite, however, it has the effect of trying to bring reality into a fantasy world. This clash in style makes it almost impossible to take seriously, hence why the Minecraft movie looks so off-putting. It's for this same reason why the Super Mario Bros. Movie had to be animated. This franchise is full of elements that could only exist in a fantasy world. Mushroom power-ups, toads, and a giant fire-breathing turtle are too ridiculous to make live action, hence why the 1993 film failed so miserably. Minecraft is the same in this regard with its blocky textures, various mobs, and crafting mechanics. Such elements are just a little too far removed from reality to translate well into live action. It's a shame because the teams in charge of designing the set pieces and props did a decent job. However, all this hard work is completely undone by the green screen backgrounds and CGI mobs, which look absolutely hideous and out of place. And yet despite this, Warner Bros. Don't care for a very simple reason. The film is going to be a success regardless. These adaptations do so well because fans of the franchise are going to see the movie no matter what. Even if the visuals are poor, this won't discourage Minecrafters from buying tickets just to watch their favourite game on the silver screen. By making it live action, the studio is trying to draw in general audiences alongside guaranteed viewers for extra sales. Jack Black and Jason Momoa getting up to silly shenanigans? That's often convincing enough for people who only go to the cinema twice a year. Hey, future me, so I didn't bother writing a script for this part. This is after I've seen the film and about a week after it's released when I'm recording this. I think I might have severely underestimated just how successful the movie would be. What I didn't anticipate was the fact that it would become a massive meme and you'd have clips of teenagers and Gen Z going to the theaters just to throw popcorn in the air and scream, "Chicken Jockey, woo." Look, at the end of the day, what I have to say still applies. I mean, I did predict that the film was going to make money regardless. It's just, it's making even more money because of these memes. Like, it's actually really sad when you think about it. I mean, most people only go to the cinema twice a year, and they're not going to watch, like, just some 3-hour biopic that isn't fun to laugh at with their friends. I'm really worried that Warner Brothers are going to take the wrong lessons from this film and start just making complete slop from now on. This feels like a reverse Morbius situation. In that situation, no one saw the film and they made up all this stuff, but now everyone's going to see it because of the memes. Anyways, yeah, there's something to be said about meme culture in movies, so let me know if you want to see a video on that. Back to what else I had to say. Had the film instead been animated like Illumio's recreation of the trailer, the wider public wouldn't take interest, even if it's more visually appealing and faithful to the source material. This leads me to my most controversial but central point to this video. As much as everyone likes to complain about the abundance of poor quality live action remakes, there's a reason they keep getting made. People keep watching them. I do agree that studios are partially to blame for this trend. After all, these companies are the ones deciding to produce the films. The thing is, they only do it because it keeps making them money. It's extremely frustrating to open Twitter and see cinephiles rant about the industry's current state, but audiences around the world are the reason for it. We want more original movies like Mickey 17. Then go to your local theater and see it. Yes, we need longer theatrical windows. Yes, we need less films relying on existing IP. But until the majority of cinema goers stop purchasing tickets for live action remakes, we will keep getting them. Even the most pedantic of cinephiles aren't immune to this criticism, including myself. How many of you watched a Minecraft movie despite how bad the trailer looked? I only went and saw it with my girlfriend to laugh at how bad it was, as I'm sure many people watching did too. Regardless, all this does is boost sales further, driving similar films to be made in the future. I'm not a pessimist, however. Animation as an art form isn't completely dead. In fact, I think it's due for a big resurgence in the future. While I've been hammering on about the profitability of live action remakes, this will not last forever. In fact, we are beginning to see a decline in their profit margins. Mulan and Cruella bombing could be attributed to the pandemic, but the most recent Snow White remake is expected to lose money too. Live action, like 3D animation before it, is beginning to become tiresome. The pendulum is starting to swing back the other way as audiences continue to want something fresh, not more green screens and CGI. While Pixar and DreamWorks 3D animation isn't as impressive anymore, we continue to get movies that experiment with their visual style. Some notable examples include the Spider-Verse films, Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, and The Wild Robot. Many talented artists continue to make independent productions too, such as Flow and Memoir of a Snail. In fact, it's these last two I want to focus on. I mentioned in my video on Hoodwinked that computer animation was extremely inaccessible back in 2005. Be sure to give that video a watch if you want to learn more about the film's chaotic production. In short, it was done on a low budget by an independent team, meaning the visual style ended up poor in quality when contrasted against the major studios. 20 years later, however, technology and accessibility has improved dramatically. Flow was produced for only $4 million by a small team using the free software Blender. Memoir of a Snail also had a similar budget, taking 8 years to make as it was done in stop motion using over 5,000 different handcrafted sculptures. No longer do you need a studio's resources to obtain high-end equipment and talented artists. It's now possible to produce an entire feature-length animated film on your computer at home. Okay, this is a little bit of an exaggeration, but it's not that far from the truth. While voice acting, sound design, and distribution still require a little bit of money, the animation itself can be done independently. Obviously, it's still impossible to recreate Moana on your laptop, but constraints breed creativity. Besides, with how powerful graphics cards are now, gorgeous visuals do not have to be compromised when working with a small budget. As technology only continues to improve, the possibilities for talented animators will grow over the next decade. Flow's success gives me hope that the next generation of artists will give us some of the most visually impressive and unique animations ever seen. The future is independent, not Disney, DreamWorks, or Illumination. One concern I do have going forward is the adoption of generative AI. That being said, this technology is rightfully coming under more scrutiny. Assuming we can avoid normalizing such practices and deal with its ethical issues, animation has a bright future ahead of it. Beyond the Spider-Verse finally got a release date, and I'm sure there are plenty of independent projects in the works as I speak. If, like me, you wish to see this medium of film thrive, then please go and support these movies as they release in your local theaters. I finally got to watch Flow in cinemas recently, and it was such a breathtaking experience. A Minecraft movie might be a lost cause, but it's the small adventures which give me hope that animation will continue to live on. Anyways, thanks for making it all the way to the end of the video. Please remember to give me a like and subscribe for more.